Hello everyone, here are the solutions and the graphs to yesterday's assignment 1 through 9. And I do apologize for this little watermark here. I have to update my subscription, so I will be doing that over the next couple of days. So we'll just work around it. All right, so what I'm going to show on the next few pages is how I got vertex form, but right now I'll scroll through so you could check your answers. Pause the video as you do so. And again, pay close attention to how you count. I will be looking again for specific points. All right, so as I said, I will go through each problem just to show you how I came up with the vertex form. All right, so for number 1, we have y equals x squared minus 6x plus 5. I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides, leave a little bit of space. And now to figure out what we're going to add to complete the square, half of 6 is 3, 3 squared is 9. So we're going to add 9 to both sides. So now on the left side, we get y plus 4. And over on the right, we're going to factor this into x minus 3, that quantity squared. And then we'll just bring the 4 back over by subtracting it. So there is vertex form. Again, our vertex is the opposite of h. I'll just show you on this one. And then we have k, which is the negative 4. The axis of symmetry is always x equals whatever h is. Okay, for number 2, we have y equals 2x squared minus 20x plus 47. So we do have to divide everything up here by 2 first. Now, even though 47 doesn't divide nicely by 2, that's okay. We'll still leave it as a 47 over 2. So we get y over 2 equals x squared minus 10x plus 47 halves. We'll subtract 47 halves from both sides, leave some space. Now, here's the trick with this one. When we go to add, we're going to add 25. Now, on the right side, that's okay because there's no fractions, but because we have a fraction here, let's just turn it into something over 2, and then that is going to be a 50 over 2. That's still 25, but as having common denominators. So now we're going to end up with y over 2, 50 minus 47 will give us a positive 3 over 2. And then on the right side, we'll still factor into x minus 5 squared. I'll subtract 3 halves, so we'll get y over 2 is equal to this quantity squared minus 3 halves. And then our last step is to multiply by 2, multiply by 2, and multiply by 2. So now we end up with y equals 2 times the quantity x minus 5 squared minus 3. Let's take a look at number 3. We have y equals 1/2 x squared plus 6x plus 14. Here we want to get rid of that 1/2, so we're going to double everything in our equation. So we'll end up with a 2y equals x squared plus 12x plus 28. We'll subtract the 28, move it to the other side, leave a little bit of space. Now we're going to take half of 12, which is 6. 6 squared is 36, so we're going to add 36 to both sides. So now we have 2y. We're going to get a plus 8 equals the quantity x plus 6 squared. Subtract the 8. And then divide everything by 2. So we get y equals, but instead of leaving it over 2, we'll say 1/2 times the quantity x plus 6 squared minus 4. For number 4, we have y equals negative x squared plus 4x plus 1. Again, we want our leading coefficient to be positive, so I'm going to divide everything up here by negative 1, or just take the opposite of everything. So we'll get a negative y equals positive x squared minus 4x minus 1. Now I'll add 1 to both sides, so negative y plus 1, leave some space, equals x squared minus 4x. We're going to add 4 to both sides. So now we get negative y plus 5 equals the quantity of x minus 2 squared. We'll subtract a 5, still keep y as negative. And now we have to divide everything by a negative 1 again. So this one I do want to write out. So now we end up with y is equal to a negative, or the opposite of the quantity, x minus 2 squared, and then a plus 5. All right, for number 5, we have y equals negative 2x squared minus 8x. Notice there's no constant. That's okay. I still need to start by dividing everything up here by negative 2. So now this becomes y over negative 2 equals x squared plus 4x. What's nice is I don't have to move anything to the other side. I could just start by completing the square. So what am I going to add to both sides? Another 4. So now I would just write this as y over negative 2 plus 4 is equal to the quantity of x plus 2 squared. Subtract 4, so we get y over negative 2 equals the quantity x plus 2 squared minus 4. And now multiply everything by negative 2. So we're back to a y is equal to negative 2 times the quantity x plus 2 squared, and then plus 8. For number 6, y is equal to negative 1/2 x squared plus 2x plus 4. Again, I want to double everything, but I want to multiply everything by a negative 2 because there's a negative 1/2 there. So now we'll end up with negative 2y equals a positive x squared minus a 4x minus 8. We'll add 8 to both sides, so we'll get a negative 2y plus 8, leave some space, equals x squared minus 4x. And we've seen the 4s a lot, so we're going to add a 4 to each side. So we get negative 2y plus 12, and then this will factor into the quantity x minus 2 squared. Subtract the 12, so we get negative 2y equals the quantity x minus 2 squared minus 12. And then we'll divide everything by negative 2. So now we end up with y is equal, we'll write this as a negative 1/2 times the quantity x minus 2 squared, and we get a plus 6. Okay, looking at number 7, we have y equals x squared plus 8x plus 13. What's nice with this is our leading coefficient is 1, so we don't have to multiply or divide by anything. We'll just subtract our 13, leave some space. But now what are we going to add to each side? Well, half of 8 is 4, and 4 squared is 16. So now we'll end up with a y plus 3, and over here we'll get an x plus 4, that quantity squared, and then just subtract 3, so y equals this quantity squared minus 3. Number 8, y is equal to negative 2x squared plus 16x minus 32. We want to divide everything up here by negative 2. So we get y over negative 2 equals positive 1x squared minus 8x, and then plus 16. We'll subtract 16, leave a little bit of space. And again, we have an 8x here. So just like in the last problem, we're going to add 16 to both sides. Now, if you noticed, this kind of happened the other day as well. This was already a perfect square trinomial because now we're getting y over negative 2. This is a 0, and we're back to x squared minus 8x plus 16. So this factors into the quantity x minus 4 squared. And we just have to multiply both sides by the negative 2. So we get y is equal to negative 2 times the quantity x minus 4 squared. When we don't see a number over here, that just means it's 0. So our vertex is just going to be 4, 0. All right, and then let's take a look at our last problem, number 9. We have y is equal to 1/2 x squared minus 3x plus 11/2. Here we want to multiply everything by a positive 2. So we will get 2y is equal to x squared minus 6x. And when we double 11/2, we'll just have 11. So we want to subtract 11. So we get 2y minus 11, leave some space. And with this being a 6, we will add 9 to both sides. So we'll get 2y minus 2 is going to equal the quantity x minus 3 squared. Add 2. And then divide by 2, every part. So then y is equal to, we'll write this as 1/2 times the quantity x minus 3 squared plus 1. So those are all problems showing you how I came up with the vertex form. So we can complete the square, but today I'm going to show you an alternative way following a little formula on how we can find h and k separately. We do not have to complete the square. So I'm just calling this the second way to find the vertex. Now again, we want to use this when our function is in general form, which is that ax squared plus bx plus c. And remember, the vertex is always made up of h and k. Those are just special x and y values. So to find h, here's the little formula. And recall where we see a and b, those are going to show up in our formulas. So h is simply the opposite of b over 2a. Now using function notation here to find k, that's just f of h. So that means whatever we get for h, we just substitute it back in for x, because remember, h is a special x value. Once we have h and k, we just put it back into vertex form. Remember, a is given to us. Whatever the a is of general form, it's going to be the a of vertex form. Whatever h is, we just substitute it in here and we subtract it, and then we put our plus k. So we're going to do two problems off of the worksheet I gave you guys yesterday. We're going to first take a look, I believe it was number 19. And this is off of GIF 6.5. And we're still going to graph this, so make sure you have graph paper available. All right, so we're looking at y equals, or f of x equals x squared plus 20x plus 94. Now it doesn't matter what our leading coefficient is. We do not have to multiply or divide by anything to make sure it's 1. It just so happens that this one is 1. All right, so we're going to start. H is equal to the opposite of b over 2a. So b is 20, a is 1. So then we say h is equal to the opposite of 20 over 2 times 1, which is 2, so that gives us negative 10. So right now, our vertex, the first number, is negative 10. How do we find k? We substitute negative 10 back into wherever we see an x. So k is going to equal negative 10 squared plus 20 times 10 plus 94. Now, I know these look like big numbers, but they're easy big numbers to work with. So k is going to equal positive 100. Oh, that was a negative in there. That's going to give us a minus 200 plus a 94. So 100 minus 200 is negative 100. Negative 100 plus 94 is a negative 6. So here is our vertex. Now to write this in vertex form, I'm going to go back to y equals a times the quantity x minus h squared plus k. A again is 1. So I don't really need to write a number there. X minus h, that's x minus a negative 10, so it becomes x plus 10 squared, plus our k, which means plus a negative 6, or just minus 6. There's vertex form. So let's go ahead and graph this. Now if you notice, because our vertex is negative 10, negative 6, if you guys want to count by 2's on your coordinate plane, that's fine. I just shifted my axes here. I'm going to extend the page so we can avoid that watermark. All right, so we're going to negative 10, negative 6. Since a is 1, our parabola is going to open up. And we count over 1, up 1 on either side. Go back to the vertex, count over 2, up 2 squared, or 4. So this is our parabola. And then we draw on the axis of symmetry. And we'll write the equation of that. And this would be x equals negative 10. So we find our vertex first. We find h and k first. Now, yes, we could still get involved with fractions, but it's a lot easier to work with fractions this way than having to use them in completing the square. So after today, you guys have a choice. You can always complete the square. You could try this alternative way, or you can mix it up, try both. So let's try one more. This is number 17. So again, let's go ahead and find h. Remember, h is equal to the opposite of b over 2a. So in this case, b is 5. A happens to be a fraction, but I wanted to show you one like this. A is negative 1/2. So this becomes the opposite of 5 over 2 times negative 1/2, which becomes negative 5 over negative 1, which is just 5. So right now of our vertex, we know our first number is 5. Then we find k, and that means we're just going to take that 5 and put it back into our equation. So this is going to become negative 1/2 times 5 squared plus 5 times 5 minus 25 halves. This will give us 5 squared is 25, so we'll get a negative 25 halves plus 25 minus 25 halves. So let's see what the easiest way is to continue here. If you notice my two fractions, let's combine those. Negative 25 halves minus 25 halves is negative 50 halves. We could divide that. So that's a negative 25 plus 25, and that's 0. So my vertex is 5, 0. When I go to write vertex form, again, this is what I'm substituting my h and my k back into. A, again, we said at the top, a is negative 1/2. So now y is equal to a negative 1/2. X minus h was 5, so x minus 5 squared, plus k, which is plus 0, and I don't have to write that. So there's our vertex form. We have our vertex stated. Let's go ahead and plot that, 5, 0, right here. Since a is negative 1/2, my parabola is going to open down, and for however many I count over and I square it, I need to go down half as far. So if I go over 1, 1 squared is 1, but I go down half that far, so go down a half. I go over 2, 2 squared is 4, but I go down half as far. And then that'll be enough of points. So here's our parabola. And then we'll draw in our axis of symmetry, and we'll write that here. Remember, it's always a vertical line, so it's x equals, in this case, 5. All right, so please let me know if you have any questions over this alternate method of finding the vertex. And then once we find the vertex, we write our vertex form. So off of gift 6-5, I just want you doing 10 through 16. That's still at the top half. And then number 18. So we're not doing anything from the bottom half of the page. We'll get into that next week. But let me know if you guys have any questions.